Yeah, it's an interesting thing. I think, a lot of people focus on the attributes of product or attributes of experience, but my view is that there's really needs to be a better understanding of the customer journey. And there are two key principles that we see sometimes not appreciated. First is that the customer journey is nonlinear. Still, people are saying they're becoming customer-centric and they're using a traditional funnel. And the interactions that customers have, particularly in a new omnichannel environment, are truly nonlinear. And we have to contend with that in order to become more customer-centric. The second piece is that a lot of times we look at the customer experience based on our interactions with the customers. And truthfully, you have to look beyond your interactions with the customers in order to be truly customer-centric. There are lots of examples of exogenous factors that influence customers that a lot of the financial services firms and in some cases the fintech firms are actually ignoring, but have a huge impact on how to create a customer experience. The emerging technologies that are going to have a big impact on the customer experience, I think, have a couple different flavors. So one, it's going to be extreme personalization, and it's going to be extreme personalization in a way that guides them through an experience that is richer than what they would have without that personalization. A previous point that the nonlinear aspect of customer experience needs to be considered. It's not just personalization at the points of intersection of you and your customer, but it's points of intersection between your customer along the entire journey, which may be exogenous to your platforms, your channels. And so you have to almost think of an off-us strategy for engaging in personalization. And so I think that's going to be an important consideration. So that extreme personalization is one part of the technology. Obviously we're achieving that through better data and analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, integrated into on-us platforms and off-us platforms. I think the assumptions about trust that are based on demographics or other kind of more rudimentary ways of analyzing customers can be misleading. We have to look beyond the assumptions that we have about age cohorts or other kind of visible features and look into the attitudes and behaviors of people, because trust manifests itself differently in different contexts. And so I think what we're going to have to do is figure out the context for trust and then apply the technology to it. So I think there are so many opportunities in terms of the relationship between fintechs and banks. In a lot of cases, fintechs have really solved specific problems that banks, have challenges solving. They have products that meet specific needs that they are really focused on. Banks, on the other hand, have scale, brand, and distribution, which those two things together could be a magical combination. The challenge is how do you do it? And how do you make use of the bank's scale, distribution, and brand, combined with the fintech's hyper focus and agile ability to solve a customer problem. One of the interesting things that I've found in working with fintechs is a lot of times they are ahead of the banks in terms of thinking about the problem. And so they've gone to solve the next phase or the complex version of the problem. And the banks are actually starting from, it's not even crawl, walk, run. It's like, roll over, sit up, and crawl. And so trying to figure out how to back the fintech off of the complex solution into something that the bank can absorb and then evolve together over time is one of the biggest challenges. I think it probably is one of the biggest frustrations on both sides. I think understanding the fintech and their culture is absolutely important. Partnering with a fintech who understands bank regulations and processes and has some experience there is also important. One of the things that we found was helpful in getting underneath both of those things was, instead of going and saying, finding a fintech and saying, we're going to ingest your product, is actually find an engagement with them where they can provide you with counsel and advice on how to best work with them. So almost treat the fintech like a consultant. Pay them for it because they need to continue supporting their business and their goals, and there's an opportunity cost by spending time helping you understand what they could do for you. But treat a fintech like a consultant and try to bring them in that fashion in order to really understand them.